there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for Contemporary-a-thon. I read a total of 5 books for Contemporary-a-thon and I also read 3 other books this week, so I'm going to quickly talk about those. I will link all the books down below to Goodreads as well as mine if you want to be my friend, and I'd love to hear what you guys read for Contemporary-a-thon and if you met the challenges you wanted to complete. So I'm going to hop right into it since I do have 8 books to talk about. So first I'm going to talk about the 3 books that I read outside of Contemporary-a-thon, and the first one is One Thing I Know by Kara Isaac. I got this off of NetGalley. It was like a auto-approved type of book you could get. It is out now. It just came out February 12th, and she is a contemporary Christian fiction writer. And I have 2 other books of hers on my shelves and I haven't read them yet. But this was my first that I'd read by her, and it is about a girl named Rachel. She is a ghostwriter for her aunt called Dr. Donna, and she basically is the ghostwriter for her novels that she writes. I actually don't think they're novels. I think they're like kind of self-help books. And they go on a tour with this guy named Lucas, who is a late night talk show host. He likes to talk about sports, but for some reason he always gets calls about people wanting answers to their love life. So he goes on tour with them, and him and Rachel like each other, but he has no idea that Rachel is the ghostwriter, and he has proclaimed on live television that he loves honesty and integrity. Those are the most important things in a relationship. So Rachel feels like she's deceiving him, but they have a romance anyway, and basically it could ruin their relationship if he finds out that she's been lying. So I didn't really like this book. I gave it 2 stars. Thought it was really slow and the romance just wasn't there for me and the plot line wasn't there for me. So like I said, gave it 2 stars. I hope the other books on my shelves by her are good. So yeah, that was the first one. And then I read a really good book, and it's called The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. This was C.J. Tudor's first novel that came out last year in 2018. And this is set in dual timeline. It's 1986 and then 2016. So back in 1986, there was this group of friends who were 12 years old. One of them, the main character's name is Eddie, and him and his friends, they just ride their bikes in the summer. They write little secret chalk messages to each other. They just get themselves into trouble in the woods, things like that. Well, weird things start happening in their hometown. They follow like a series of chalk drawings on trees, and they discover a dead body. And the whole town believes that it was the teacher who had an inappropriate relationship with the girl. They figured it was him who killed her, and before they even got to send him to trial, he killed himself. So it kind of seemed like a shut case. And then now it's 30 years later, and the group kind of split up. 2 of them moved away, 3 of them stayed in their hometown. And Ed, he goes by Ed now, he's in his 40s, I think he's 42. And they're starting to get reminders of what happened 30 years ago. Now that it's starting to get the 30-year mark, they all received a letter with a piece of chalk, so they think that the chalk man is back to get them, which they're confused because they thought that it was the teacher who killed the girl. And this was a crazy wild ride. I loved this book. I loved dual timelines especially, and I just loved all the twists and turns, and the atmosphere was amazing. I love C.J. Tudor's writing, and I would love to read C.J. Tudor's new book, which I think is called The Hiding Place, and I gave this one 5 stars. And then I also read Wolf Hunter River by Rachel Kane, and this is the 3rd book in the Still House Lake series. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read the series, but this particular book doesn't come out until April 23rd, but it was an auto-approved on NetGalley, so you could get it on there. And this follows the same characters as the other 2 novels, and it follows Gwen, Sam, and then Gwen's 2 kids, Lanny and Connor. Sam is kind of her partner / boyfriend. So Gwen, if you had read the other books, her ex-husband was a serial killer, and now in the last book, Melvin, her ex-husband, died. And so she's trying to move on from it, and she thought once he was dead, she'd be able to leave that behind her, but people are still threatening her, thinking that she's involved with all of his serial killings, and even though she had no idea. And so her and her family are trying to stay safe. She also gets calls from women who are in similar shoes where they have family members who commit crimes and how to deal with that, and if people think they're guilty. So she gets a call from a woman frantic one day begging Gwen to come to her hometown of Wolf Hunter, and that something bad is happening. So basically Gwen goes there to investigate herself. and it is super action-packed, a really wild ride with a slight romance between her and Sam. And I really do like this series. I gave it 4 stars, this particular one. Wasn't my favorite in the series, but still really enjoyable. So now on to the Contemporary-a-thon reads. I read mostly ebooks, 3 ebooks and 2 physical books. So one of the challenges was to read most recently acquired, and that was Unexpected by Kelly Rimmer. And this doesn't come out till May 28th. I got it off of NetGalley. Kelly Rimmer usually writes more hard-hitting books, but this one was a more steamy contemporary, and I really enjoyed it. It follows 2 best friends, Abby and Marcus. I think they're like 30. They've been best friends since they were little kids, and now they rent an apartment together. They're best friends. They both have their own careers. Well, Abby learns that her fertility is on the decline, and if she wants to have kids, it's now or never. But she's never met her Mr. Perfect. She's single, so she doesn't really know what to do. Whereas Marcus, he doesn't want to get married, and when he learns about Abby's situation, basically he thinks now is the time that he could actually have a kid without having to be married and have all the whole relationship deal. So they decide to have a baby together, but because of the cost of fertility treatments, they decide to go about it the old-fashioned way, which makes their relationship extremely complicated. But this was a great steamy and like great romance. I just loved it. The concept was kind of funny, and I really liked seeing Kelly write this kind of genre because it was unlike what I read from her before, and I gave it 4.25 stars. And then another challenge is read a book you meant to read in 2018, and I chose The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. His other book I gave like 3 stars, Her Every Fear. It was okay, and I heard this one was way better and that it had a huge twist. Well, this follows a man named Ted. He's drinking alone in an airport. He found out recently that his wife was cheating on him with their general contractor on their new home, and he's drinking alone in an airport bar, and he meets this really beautiful woman named Lily, and he confesses all about his cheating wife to her, and they end up on the same plane, and he says, I want to kill her, and she helps him create a plan to kill her. Like, it seems like a joke, but she takes it seriously. And they have this plan in the States to basically kill her, and they want to execute that plan, but nothing goes according to plan, but it might be exactly what Lily wanted all along. So what bummed me out about this book was the twist I guessed. It was pretty early on in the book that you find out the twist, and I didn't think it was an amazing twist. I mean, for me, I guessed it, and I was so bummed because I'd heard that this one had such a good twist. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was good, but I don't know. I'm going to give another one of his books a try. I have an ARC for the one that comes out this year, and so I'm hoping that one is better than the 2 that I've read so far. And then another one is to read a diverse read, keeping in mind that February is Black History Month. I read When Dimple Met Rishi, and this is a YA contemporary. I generally don't read YA too often, but I've heard great things about this book, and this author has a couple others out that I would be interested in reading. So this follows a girl named Dimple. She just graduated from high school, and in the fall she's going to be attending Stanford for like web design or web engineering or something like that. Well, her parents are super traditional from an Indian culture, and they just want her to get married and find like the perfect Indian husband, basically. She's really surprised when they agree for her going to a summer program, and when she gets there, she meets a guy named Rishi, and it turns out that they were set up, that he was told by his parents that they were going to get married, and so she believes that her parents and his parents set them up, and she is super furious that now she's at this camp with this guy, and that she wants to be learning and exploring fun things, but her parents just want her to get married. And lo and behold, they have to do like this project together, and she gets paired with Rishi, and it is a really cute romance between the 2 of them, and their banter back and forth was really cute, and I really liked the concept of the book, and I liked how I got to learn a little bit more about Indian culture, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. And then the next one I double upped on challenges. It was to read a book of alternate format as well as a hard-hitting contemporary. So I chose After the End by Claire McIntosh. I have an ARC from this. I think it comes out in like May or something like that. And this is not really what Claire McIntosh normally writes. She normally writes suspense. She's written 3. And this one was a contemporary, more of like just a hard-hitting drama. And this one is definitely a heavy read. It is about a married couple named Pip and Max, and they have a 2-year-old named Dylan who has cancer, and he's in and out of the hospital, but now he's kind of like in there for a long period of time, and the doctors discover that his brain tumor has grown, and they think that treating him any further wouldn't help or prolong his life by much, so they recommend that they take him off of any kind of treatment and just do palliative care, which is just comfort care until the end of his life. Well, unfortunately, the parents don't agree. The dad believes that he should be getting treatment in the US, like alternate treatment, and the mom believes that they should do palliative care, and that extending his life wouldn't really be worth much because he would have a lot of mental and physical disabilities, and it wouldn't extend his life for very long. So they go to court, and the court decides basically for them because they can't choose. And this book explores what happens if the court chose in favor of the dad and in favor of the mom. So every other chapter goes back and forth about what could happen, and this situation tears this couple apart. And what's crazy is they're torn apart in both situations. So if he lives or dies, the couple is torn apart and they can't survive this. And what's crazy is no matter which choice they made, the outcomes are kind of really similar, and their lives are kind of the same no matter what they chose. And I really enjoyed this book. I have really like ties to this book because my brother passed away from cancer almost 4 years ago, and it's really hard to go through those types of things, and so I feel like I related 100% to this book. And even the author wrote a note how her and her spouse had to make a life-changing decision for her child not that long ago, and I could tell by the writing that she had experienced something like that firsthand because it was just so like real and heartfelt. And I gave this one 4.5 stars. It's not a like enjoyable read, but I really didn't like it for being able to relate to it. And then the last 2 challenges I doubled up again. So blurple, so blue or purple on the cover, and a picture on the spine. I chose The Good Luck Charm by Helena Hunting, so it's blue, and there is a picture on the spine. And this follows a couple named Ethan and Lila. Well, they had broken up 8 years ago after high school, and now, like I said, it's 8 years later, and they hadn't seen each other over all this time. Well, Lila stayed in their hometown, but he moved away for hockey, so he moved to Chicago and played professionally, and well, now he's been traded and he's back home to Minnesota, and they basically run back into each other and are back in each other's lives. And it throws Lila for an insane loop, and her heart was broken by him, and now she's recently divorced and trying to just move on with her life. And he is convinced Ethan wants to get back together and he wants to win her back, and it's kind of their romance. It's steamy, it's funny. I really enjoyed it, and it's not too heavy on sports, so if you're not really into sports, it's very minor on the sports, but I love second chance romances, and this fit the bill for that, so I gave this one 4 stars. So those are all the books that I read this week. I'd love to hear what you guys have been reading, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.